Well, each week, a group of insiders joins me to offer perspective on some of the week's top stories. This week, sounding off on two big retailers opening their first Indiana locations, which with a lot of fanfare. A $50 million IU initiative focusing on the state's addiction epidemic. And the Colts looking to expand at their training complex in the northwest side of Marion County. Our insiders this week are Hathaway Strategies President Ann Hathaway. Also, Harmless Consulting's Mike Harmless. And Mesereau Financial Retirement Planning and Advisory Client Relationship Manager Bruce Kidd. And welcome one and all to the Insiders for another edition. And we begin with, did you know IKEA opened this week?
I heard.
You heard.
So exciting.
The hype over IKEA opening has been 2 years, or about 2 years, I think, since the announcement. And it's finally open. And it's part of a bigger picture, too, in Fishers. You have the IKEA opening, Topgolf opening late in the week as well, expecting to bring hundreds of thousands of people as well. So a lot going on in Fishers, to be sure.
Mayor Scott Fadness has just done a great job of going out and recruiting these businesses, and it's just one win right after another for him and that community. It's really indicative, though, of what's going on in a lot of communities across our state. There's good stuff happening. Things are being built, opening. People are feeling good about what's happening in Indiana.
Yeah, and you look at Fishers as an example of that. IKEA, Topgolf, the Portillos, what's happening on the business.
New brew pub.
Yeah, very importantly. And Bruce, you know, a lot of business activity, headquarters moving up there as well. As you look at challenges going forward in dealing with growth, I mean, it's a positive thing, but you also have those challenges that come with growth.
Well, all you have to do is drive in that intersection where IKEA is. It might be a challenge to get to Topgolf, because here's what's going to happen for husband and wife teams. My prediction, Gary.
I know you're going.
The husbands are going to be at Topgolf, and the wives are going to be at IKEA, and they'll be able to see each other across the interstate, but hard to get there. But that's a good problem to have. That kind of activity is really, really good for the Fishers community. But as opposed to some of the western suburbs of Chicago that are much broader in area geographically, Fishers is not very big, so you can only put so much there. And Scott's done a great job. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah, and Scott, I mean, the thing I like so much about Scott is the team he's put together.
Yeah.
I mean, he continues to bring really, really strong people in, and they're thinking ahead. I mean, they're planning for what needs to be next. Infrastructure investments, all the improvements to utilities and everything else that mayors have to do that I think a lot of people don't, it's not very sexy, but it's stuff that has to get done or your community's not going to grow. But Scott's doing a great job.
And I should say that's our reporter Dan McGowan from our staff was just on that video taking that shot. I just wanted to point that out.
There you go.
Another Indiana, there he is right there, Dan, good form. Another Indiana city, Greenwood, with some big news this week. FedEx announcing a $259 million investment in a new package distribution.
Well, again, this is another great mayor. Mark Myers is solid. He came into that office and it had been a good old boy, whatever you want to say. I mean, it had been kind of the same mayor for a long time. He came in and surrounded himself with an incredible team. Redevelopment Commission, he's got great business owners from that community. You know, that new intersection that they built, which is where this is going to go on the interstate. I mean, they've got a real vision for what they want to do in Greenwood, and it's Mark Myers bringing people together, and he's another great mayor.
FedEx has been a great partner for Indiana. We have a number of FedEx facilities, warehouses, and it just reinforces that we're the crossroads of America with regard to transportation, business. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and in terms of moving packages, moving people as well, Indianapolis International Airport announcing they're on pace to set a record again this year in terms of passenger traffic. Bruce, another thing, Mario Rodriguez on the show earlier this week talked that next week Condé Nast is going to come out and name Indianapolis International as the world's best airport. So when you have that kind of publicity, of exposure, plus the actual bottom line numbers of traffic and those types of things.
Well, I don't think there's any question. I have friends and business colleagues from all over the country that come through Indianapolis, typically west to east, but sometimes they're coming here for business. And 100% of them comment on the quality of our airport, how easy it is to navigate, how nice it is to go through. It's astounding that we're rated the #1 airport in the world. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Wow. But it's a great airport and a terrific addition to our economy here.
Yeah, and I want to ask, Bruce, I want to ask you too about these non-stops, which now we're almost at an all-time high for non-stops, at least since the new airport. You remember well, I think many of us do, how, especially in the tech community, that lack of connectivity was a huge problem.
Huge problem.
That's changed in a big way as you look at Seattle and San Francisco and all the non-stops that have been.
Yeah, it makes a huge. Frankly, candidly, I did not know we had 48 non-stops now.
Yep.
And so I looked at the map earlier today, and a lot of it is going west, which is great for us. I mean, back to your comment, Ann, we're in the center, the crossroads of America,
Right.
but we can get wherever we need to be now.
Right, and I have friends in Illinois who come over here to fly out. Price-wise, we're competitive. It's convenient. There's parking.
Yeah.
It's just it's a great airport to use for their hub.
And Mario Rodriguez is so modest. He's a rock star, and he knows how to get this stuff done, and he's getting it done for us. But every time I say that about him, you know, he's very, very modest.
But there's just so many good partnerships going on right now. People are really working together. There's not really politics in the atmosphere anymore. There's really about how do we get it done, how do we get it done well, and how do we make Indiana the best. And you can really feel it.
And part of that partnership equation, I think, is reflected in the news from Indiana University this week, talking about their Grand Challenges initiative, which is really focused on attacking big challenges for our state. And certainly one of the biggest is the opioid addiction crisis facing Indiana and really many states around the country, but it's especially bad here in Indiana. IU announcing a $50 million project, a commitment focused on fighting that. IU Health is involved, so many other entities around that issue.
You've got education, business, government, all who have identified one of the largest problems that we're going to have in this state and frankly in this country in the next not only current but 5 to 10 years. And we're working on trying to find a real solution. They're working together, understanding that the workforce is totally impacted by this and the future of our state depends on getting a solution.
Yeah, Bruce, obviously the human toll on this is enormous, but as Ann suggested, the business toll is really big as well.
No question. Productivity goes south in a hurry. My wife is a Purdue pharmacy grad for 37 years now practicing, and you know she sees this firsthand. It's a real issue.
Yeah.
And I was delighted to see IU step up and take charge with trying to find a solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we're so blessed in this state to have all these wonderful universities. Michael McRobbie is just a great leader, and it just couldn't be better to have anybody but him leading IU right now.
The winds of change also blowing through Indiana with Angie's List, the company that was acquired not long ago by the New York-based company, the Home Advisor, the parent of Home Advisor, announcing this week, and this is not surprising, but announcing this week that the former Angie's List campus on the east side will be up for sale. Now, part of the really positive about that, a lot of people were hopeful this would spark a rebirth, if you will, in the east side of Indianapolis. That perhaps not going to happen.
But in this environment that we're in right now, if this would have been, I don't know, a number of years ago when the economy wasn't as strong as it is now, I think right now the way to look at this is be optimistic and say now we have a wonderful asset that we can market as opposed to, you know, having to go somewhere else and try to find.
I think you'd make a great Amazon headquarters.
Yes,
You
Amazon
too, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, it's right off the beaten path of what all the, you know, it's not that far from that beautiful new Cummins building or everything else just on the east side of downtown. It's just a few blocks away. I think it could be a fabulous facility for a company that wants to have a campus like that.
It won't be on the market long.
Okay, we've got a prediction there. How about, Bruce, I'll ask you, and there's no way to actually, you know, probably answer this, but as you look at this whole Angie's List, the acquisition, how this is all going to play out, how do you think with the Home Advisor, the presence here, how do you think Indianapolis is going to fare through this whole?
Well, ultimately, it comes down to how many jobs we get to keep.
Right.
You know, we've historically been a state of companies that are being acquired because we build great companies and somebody else wants them. We have not been an acquirer of other companies historically. But it's okay as long as you keep, you know, my daughter and your nephew and Mike's son's jobs in play. That's okay. And it's kind of hard to know where that stands right now. I mean, there's going to be some reduction, I would assume, but then there might turn around and be some additions too of new
Again,
jobs.
I hate to just be so optimistic as I am right now, but I feel so good about what's going on in Indiana and central Indiana.
Yeah.
And I just think that, that we now, I think, can really make the play for those folks to stay here. It's a great place to work, live, raise a family.
Yeah.
I'm bullish on Indiana.
The tech community, the tech spotlight shining on Indiana once again, as we had Steve Case and the rise of the rest in Indianapolis this week. Late in the week, also we see Google is going to launch this new training initiative focused on workforce, going to launch it in Indianapolis and Indiana. And what does that say about how far we've come in 20 years when it comes to technology?
We've come so far, and we used to talk about wanting Indiana to be the Midwest version of the Silicon Valley.
Right.
We are. We don't have to want to be anymore. We are, and you just continue it. We're validated time after time with all these events that are happening here. It's exciting.
It's exciting times, to be sure. Anne Hathaway, Mike Harmless, and Bruce Kidd, great to have you all on. We'll have you back again very soon.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll be right back after this.